Welcome to part 4 of our Lazy Genius book club. This has been really fun. I hope you're getting a lot out of the book. There's just so much life-changing, really, things that we can add into our lives, and I know it will make just such a big difference, a really big impact. There's a rainstorm outside today, and I thought, no, this is the day I need to record. And so more power to the people who are always doing these videos and things, because like you really are relying on the weather. And I thought, well, I'm not a professional or anything, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. And if you hear like thunder and stuff in the background, I'm sorry. And here I am apologizing, and I'm not supposed to apologize. We learned that in the book. So anyways, let's get started, because that just brings us into the first point. So the first chapter of the book was about letting people in. And there are so many different angles we can go with for this one. I love having people over to our house. Do you guys like having company? It is so much fun. But one of the things she says is don't like have all these excuses that are stopping you from letting people into your house, inviting people over. You know, don't say, well, I'm not a very good cook. That doesn't matter. Just order takeout or order pizza or something like that. Don't say, well, you know, my house is a mess. When you're moving or when houses are a mess, they get messy. When you have little children, they get messy. Don't let that hold you back. And that leads me into the point about where she talks about apologizing for your home. Her point was she quotes McQuillan Smith. Her point is very interesting, and I've never thought about this before, but when you really think about it, it makes so much sense. She quotes McQuillan Smith about apologizing for her house, and this is what the quote says. I realized when I apologize for my home, I'm declaring to all within earshot that I'm not content. And I was thinking about that a little bit more because, you know, there's been spots in our house now, especially because we just moved, but even in our last house where, you know, we're in the middle of a project and there's like this nappy hole in the wall, or there's a hole, we had a hole in our ceiling for ages, and it was like, for me, it was kind of embarrassing. But people, when you invite people into your home, people typically, they don't care. They're not there for what your home looks like. They're there for the company and the fellowship with you. Now, I'm not saying it's okay to have chaos, you know, I'm not saying don't ever clean up your home when company comes, but at the same time, don't point out all the problems to your company, because they're not there for the problems, they're there for you. And then it puts them on edge, she mentions, at the same time. Like when you're like, oh, welcome to my home. Oh, I'm so sorry, I have a big hole in my wall right here, and I'm so sorry that there's toys. I hope you don't step on toys. That's just pointing to all the problems. And I was really thinking about, I feel like it's really a pride thing too, because it's like, I want you to know that I know that my house looks like that. So I want you to know I know about it. I don't know. I'm not doing very good explaining that, but it really feels like a pride thing too. I heard someone recently talking about, it's kind of cute. She was talking about a husband and wife relationship, and she was like, don't point out your flaws to your husband. You know, let him just think you're beautiful. You know, don't be like, I got all these fat rolls, and just don't point out your flaws, because when you point it out, then they're gonna notice that all the time. And I feel it's like the same way about your house. Don't point out all the flaws. You know, as soon as someone walks in your door, you don't want to be pointing out everything that's wrong with your house. It shows discontentment. It's a pride thing, I feel like. And they just want to come spend time with you. They don't care that your house looks a wreck. Not giving permission for your house to look a wreck again. Oh, that's one thing I wanted to mention. Yes. Okay, so my friend and I, just last night, in fact, we were talking about clothes in our closets. And we were talking about how, you know, sometimes we have clothes in our closets that, you know, we'll throw on and we'll be like, it's a really cute dress. I have a really cute dress from Main Street Exchange, and it's really, really cute, but I feel like it makes my hips look monstrous. I mean, it's just huge. And we were just laughing because the thing is, like, we might think something, we're very critical on ourselves, and other people mostly won't be that way. So I put this dress on and I feel like I look ginormous, and no one's gonna notice that about me. And so we were just laughing about that. And it's the same thing about our house. Like, we might think there's all these flaws there, but people, as long as they're not like, you know, it's not a chaotic mess, they're not gonna care. And they're probably not gonna even notice. And if they do notice, they're not gonna care. So just keeping that in mind, don't apologize for the way your home looks. And again, keep in mind, that's not an excuse for never cleaning up your home. We want tidy homes, but you know, there's some things, like I'm looking across the wall. So I have this really pretty creamy wall color, and you know, we just moved into this house, so we're trying to get things all set up, and it's very neutral and creamy and earthy tones in here, and the wall across is gray, and it does not match at all. But you know what, when my friend's coming over tomorrow, I'm not gonna like, I'm so sorry that my wall over there is gray. I plan on painting it, but just ignore it. You know what, she's not gonna care, so I'm not even gonna say anything. So it's a good lesson in that book. Another thing too is, I have a couple different things and they're kind of random, but for having people over, sometimes it can get really stressful as far as, you know, you don't know what to make. One thing that I love doing is making the same meal over and over and over again for people, especially for the first time. Now, sometimes we'll have people over a lot and I'll just kind of put them on the meal rotation. Hey, they've never had this. Well, I'll make that for them. But when people are coming over for the first time, I always make that chicken shawarma. If you're on Instagram, you've seen me post that recipe before. It's so delicious and it's so easy. And so I'll do it in the Instant Pot. You can also do it in the crock pot, have it ready to go. And it's just a crowd pleaser. It's very delicious. And so that's what I do for everybody. So that just makes it easy. So if food is your struggle, you know, come up with a plan. Decide once what you're gonna do for when company comes over. Another thing is, when someone offers you help, take it. I think so many times we're so, I don't know if proud is the word, but we're gonna do it ourselves. And you know, I had to learn a big lesson in this, because sometimes life gets so crazy and you just can't do it all and you're trying to do it all. I remember one time I called my mom about something when we were first putting our house on the market a while ago, a year and a half ago or so. And I called my mom about something, but I had so much stress build up that I just started bawling about the stress instead of talking to her telling her what I had even called her for. And she said, okay, I'm coming. You know, that's fine. I feel really bad that my mom came all the way down here from Indiana to help me out of my stressful place, but I'm not gonna be like, oh no, don't come. She's my mom. She wants to help. She wants to be there. And friends are the same way. They want to help. We have to paint this whole house. My sister-in-law was like, hey, let me know if you need any help. And I was like, well, she's got 4 kids. She's busy, but she offered to help her. She's homeschooling her kids. She's able to. Well, you know what? We had fun. She came over. One of the kids overflowed the toilet while they were here, and it was chaos, but it was so nice because she helped me get a lot done. So let people in. This is life that we're living. It's messy. Someone's gonna come over to help you paint, and kids are gonna spill paint everywhere, and there's gonna be an overflowed toilet, and stuff's gonna happen, but it's okay. The thing is doing it together and accepting help. And another point that I was thinking of when she was talking about this, about letting people in, I thought, you know, and that's really important, to be the person that is offering the help. So someone else, you know, they might be the person that needs help. I need to be that friend, that person that is offering that help. And then the last thing I would say about this is use your home as a soul-winning opportunity, like letting people in. I think we get so stuck in our little tiny church communities, and we only have our little church friends over, and we struggle with letting outsiders in to our homes. Outsiders, as in unsaved people, into our homes. That is so against the Bible. Jesus ate with publicans and sinners. We need to open our doors to people that, we need to be friends with people so that they can see, oh, Christians are not weird. Just a quick little note I meant to mention in this video and I completely forgot. There's a book called The Gospel Comes with a Housekey that's very good about inviting unsaved into your home and being hospitable to them. So highly recommend you check that out. My brother-in-law had a really good lesson in church last night, and one of the things he mentioned that really just stuck with me was he said, you're not a friend of the world when you're a friend of a soul. You know, because I think sometimes we're scared to befriend people that are not saved because, you know, we don't want to be close to the world. How are they going to know about Jesus? So just keeping that in mind too, opening our homes to use as soul winning opportunities. And when I say soul winning opportunities, I mean, build a relationship. You know, don't force Jesus down their throats. Build relationships with your neighbors, with people you run into out in the community. So that was just another thought that I thought, oh, she doesn't mention it in the book, but there's just, again, there's so many things that we can apply to our lives as Christians and spiritually. And that's one thing I really love about this book. Secondly was batch it, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. This one makes so much sense. I hope you probably do this naturally already. She talked about laundry. She talked about cleaning your kitchen. That's huge. She talked about, was it cleaning the bathroom? One way I batched bathrooms, because I can't stand, oh no, she talked about bathrooms in Essentialize. But anyways, I don't like cleaning the bathrooms. So what I'll do is, we just have 2 in here, thankfully. Our other house, we had 2.5, so it was 3 toilets. Anyways, not my cup of tea cleaning bathrooms. It's probably most not yours either. But so I've told you again about this 15-minute after meal thing that we do. I'll just run in there. I'll take that 15 minutes and I'll hurry up and just clean the toilets, both toilets, upstairs and downstairs. And that's batching. I'm batching the toilets. And then another time I'll batch the showers. And then another time I'll batch the sinks. So it's not like, oh, I have to clean the bathroom again and it's gonna take me 30 minutes because I'm just quickly doing the toilets. So that's one way that I use batch it in my own life. She also talks about batching food. One of the biggest takeaways I think from this chapter is, I think she says near the very end, is do not do it if it doesn't help. Like, don't just batch things to batch. If it truly does not help you, then don't waste your time trying to do it. And then that leads us into number 3, the third one, Essentialize. This was my very favorite chapter, I think, this time around, because it's so important to living a very, what's the word? Like just a very, very intentional life is essentializing. And this is where I think when we first started reading the book, she talked about figuring out what matters to you. What matters? And this is where this really, really comes into play, because what we want to do is we want to figure out, let me see what she says, her words exactly. Remove everything that distracts you from what matters and leave only what's essential. So, non-essential things in our lives, it's just a lot of noise. Here's a perfect example, and she even mentions this a little bit at the beginning of the chapter. A perfect example from my own life is Instagram. I love Instagram for the work that I do. I love Instagram for checking up on close friends. And I love Instagram for keeping in contact with a very few number of online friends. I do not like social media because it's so much noise. And if you are not careful, it can just fill your brain and your brain is going like this, and I can't handle that. And I know I'm not the only one, because I know people have told me, I've talked to people about that and they're like, oh yes, I know, it's my brain just kind of goes everywhere. Another thing is it leads to comparison. You know, if you're following certain people that they've got beautiful homes and this and that. And sometimes people are just doing things just for Instagram, and it's not realistic. It's not real life. The beautiful pictures, the always, rainbows and Skittles, it's not real life. And so it's very important on Instagram to essentialize. And a few ways I personally essentialize is, number one, I'm only on Instagram on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I delete Instagram off of my phone. And I feel bad because sometimes I try to keep up with messages, but sometimes people will message me and then I won't. Like, I just sent messages out yesterday because they messaged me on Thursday. Okay, I'm 4 days late. Sometimes that's kind of like a sacrifice, a little bit of it, but it helps me to essentialize my life. What are my priorities? Another thing is having a very few number of followers. I mean, not followers, of people I'm following. It's really hard to keep up with everybody. And now that they have stories, and not everybody's posting stories, it's hard to, stories takes a long time, and it's hard to watch everybody's stories. So what I've done is, so follow very few people, and then the people I do follow, everybody's muted, so that I have to intentionally go into their profile or go to my followers and click on their name, so that I have to intentionally go to them if I want to see their stuff. I have a few that I like to keep so I can see their stories come in, but it's a very few. So I literally will jump on in the evenings or something, and I'll just quick look at people's, and it takes me less than 10 minutes, because Instagram for fun is not my priority. My priority is Altogether Lovely. Like, I'm on Instagram for this ministry, and because what would happen is I would go on to do something for my business, and I would get caught up in everybody's stories, and then 20 minutes later, I'm like, oh, what did I get on here for? And then I can't remember what I got on here. So I have to get rid of all the distractions, get rid of the things that don't matter, and essentialize. And so those little things have been very helpful for me on Instagram. That's just a place in my own life that I've had to essentialize. But I was listening to a podcast recently, and she was talking about, you need to figure out what is important to you, and that's what's going to grow. You figure it out, you work on it, and that's where you're gonna see results. So if I'm working on my marriage, I'm gonna see growth in my marriage. If I'm working on relationships with my children, I'm gonna see growth there. If I'm working on my business, then I'm gonna see growth there. But where you're investing your time is where you're gonna see growth. Now, I think the opposite's true as well. Like, if you're investing your time in things that are not they could also pull you back. So like, you have to figure out what are doing which, because like, so for Instagram, working on my business side of Instagram, that's going to push me to growth. But just putting all my time into the fun side of Instagram, that's wasting my time. That is not important to me. I want to grow. I want to have content. I want to have good content that I can put out there. If I'm putting my time into what is not important, guess what's not going to be there? No content. So you have to really decide what is important to you, what matters to you. And I'm not saying outside of God's will. I'm obviously taking it from the lens of a Christian. What is it that God has for you? If you're a wife, he obviously wants you to be a good wife. If you're a mother, he obviously wants you to be a good mother. If you're a Christian, he obviously wants you to soul win, and he wants you to be hospitable. And we use the Bible as our guide always, but he gives us the freedom to enjoy our lives as well. So figure out what's important to you. It's all right to be interested in art and drawing. It's okay. Use those talents that the Lord has given you. So there's just so many areas of our lives that we can essentialize. She gives 3 ways to essentialize. 1, name what really matters. 2, remove what's in the way. And then number 3, keep only the essentials. And she talks about this she says essentialism is not minimalism. It's not. So if you're a person that likes lots of stuff, that's not the same thing. Just make sure that your stuff matters. Make sure that your stuff is important. Make sure the clothes in your closet you enjoy. Like, okay, there's no reason to have a closet full of clothes that you don't like and you don't wear. If you don't wear the clothes, get rid of them. Get rid of what doesn't matter. Even if you shop at Goodwill, don't go to Goodwill and buy something that's you're like, oh, I think this is cute, and then it sits in your closet for 3 years because you actually don't like it on you. Don't do that. Make sure you try it on or whatever. Make sure you really, really, really like it before you bring it home from Goodwill. I love shopping at thrift stores, but the problem with shopping at thrift stores is because everything is so cheap, we buy lots more. Don't do that. You're bringing in things that are non-essential. So, and that's everything. Decor, that kind of goes back to last week where she says, don't buy something unless you know you have a place for it. Do you have a place in your closet for this outfit? Do you have a place in your home for this decoration? It helps with spending money too. So anyways, I really, really love this chapter. She said, she kind of ends this chapter with, it's very easy to get sucked into what matters to everybody else and to forget what matters to you. And that's where social media and Pinterest and things like that can be a really big problem. And so you want to turn off all the noise and figure out, okay, what matters to me? You know what? If you don't like light, creamy white that seems to be all the rage right now, paint your walls green. It doesn't matter. Figure out what matters to you. What do you like? I know this can sound very, always through a biblical lens, because I know it can sound very all about me. And that's not the way as Christians that we're viewing it. But God did give us this life to enjoy. And it's all right if you enjoy decorating. It's all right if you enjoy clothes. You just have to make sure you're being faithful. You're using your finances in the way that God wants you to use them. And that finishes off this fourth, I believe this is the fourth book club for today. So we'll see you next time. Are you done?